Voilà, good evening to all of you. Bonsoir à toutes, bonsoir à tous. Goedenavond. Je suis le directeur de cette grande boîte, le Palais des Beaux-Arts. Et l'architecture, on peut dire, fait vraiment partie de l'ADN du Palais des Beaux-Arts. Il y a 100 ans, un architecte a conçu ce bâtiment incroyable, mais très complexe, que nous nous efforçons depuis d'habiter dignement, de restaurer régulièrement et surtout d'adapter aux besoins actuels. Sans Victor Horta et son ingénieux projet, il n'y aurait pas de Beaux-Arts. Et dès le départ, des architectes ont été invités ici pour réfléchir aux enjeux de l'architecture et de l'urbanisme. Il paraît qu'il y a eu le Corbusier ici, Gropius, dans les années 40, dit kunstenhuis wil een plek zijn voor de levende kunsten en voor debat met de vinger aan de pols van nieuwe ontwikkelingen. En daarom is het essentieel dat architectuur ook vandaag deel blijft uitmaken van de artistieke programmering van Bozar. En we doen dit structureel door architecten uit te nodigen om scenografieën te maken van onze grote tentoonstellingen. Maar ook samen met A+ Architecture in Belgium organiseren we regelmatig lezingen, debatten en tentoonstellingen. En slagen we erin om architectuur blijvend op de agenda te zetten en toegankelijk te maken voor een breed publiek. Et l'un des piliers de ce programme est constitué par des expositions monographiques que nous consacrons à des bureaux d'architecture locaux et que nous produisons de A à Z avec A+ Architecture in Belgium, comme ce fut le cas pour Robrecht en Dam, Rotor et bien d'autres. Et aujourd'hui, nous célébrons en fait un anniversaire parce que c'est la 10e édition de cette collaboration. Et pour cette occasion, on présente le travail du bureau bruxellois Ouest à travers une exposition absolument remarquable. Je l'ai découverte ce matin et je suis super enthousiaste par le travail qui a été réalisé. Donc je vous invite bien sûr aussi à découvrir cette exposition ce soir. Elle sied, je pense, magnifiquement à Beaux-Arts, à ses salles, mais aussi à ses missions. Ouest est un bureau qui parle vraiment de la ville comme un organisme vivant et qui aime emprunter à des outils, mais aussi des regards à d'autres disciplines, quelque chose qui sied très fort à cette maison. Ouest heeft heel wat ervaring met culturele plekken, ook in Brussel, en plaatst zich pal in de stad als een levend organisme. Juste un petit mot encore pour dire que leur pratique a inspiré aussi la nouvelle édition de ce qu'on appelle depuis 2 ans maintenant, depuis que je suis ici, les Beaux-Arts Arcade. C'est un nouvel espace en fait qu'on dédie aux jeux vidéo artistiques et aux arts numériques. Et donc ce soir, on profite aussi du vernissage de l'expo de Ouest pour aussi ouvrir notre Beaux-Arts Arcade, une nouvelle édition consacrée aussi aux jeux vidéo dédié aux espaces aussi. De digitale ruimte laat toe om stedelijke en andere ruimte te erkennen en toe te eigenen. Je voudrais juste alors dire un dernier mot pour remercier bien sûr notre partenaire, A+ Architecture in Belgium, Amaryllis Jacobs et toute son équipe pour cette super et fructueuse collaboration. Je remercie aussi le bureau Ouest et ses collaborateurs pour cette vraiment passionnante exposition. Lara Molino et Ivan Stroven pour le commissariat de l'exposition. Et puis les équipes de Beaux-Arts, bien sûr, qui ont collaboré à ce projet. Et je vais céder maintenant la parole à Amaryllis Jacobs qui vous dira un petit peu plus sur justement nos amis d'Ouest. Merci beaucoup d'être là ce soir.
Que vous êtes nombreux. On est très heureux. Ook namens A+ heet ik jullie van harte welkom op wat voor ons zonder twijfel een van de belangrijkste avonden van het jaar is. Vanavond openen we niet alleen onze jaarlijkse tentoonstelling, een monografie met thematische inslag, maar lanceren we ook de bijhorende publicatie en een nieuw nummer van A+. dat we in co-creatie met Ouest maakten. A+314, Collective Authorship. Depuis 2009, Ouest, fondé par Stéphane Dantin et Jan Harens, réalise une large palette de projets, allant de maisons individuelles à des projets publics d'envergure aux complexités élevées. L'exposition Urban Legend met en lumière 5 réalisations, 5 bâtiments culturels profondément ancrés dans le tissu urbain existant qui cherchent à renforcer la vie communautaire. Ainsi, un café des quartiers préexistant devient l'entrée du centre culturel Scarabeus à Schaerbeek, tandis que le laboratoire culturel Variété ouvre une passerelle publique reliant la rue au cœur du théâtre original. Ouest maakt architectuur voor de open stad, zoals socioloog Richard Sennett ze omschrijft. Een levende, onvolmaakte en voortdurend veranderende omgeving waarin diversiteit, toeval en verschil een plek krijgen. Gebouwen en ruimtes hoeven niet alles vast te leggen of te beheersen, maar moeten juist flexibel en adaptief zijn. Ruimte laten voor spontane interacties en sociale verbindingen en gelaagdheid en ambiguïteit omarmen. In deze visie wordt architectuur een facilitator van stedelijk leven, die bewoners en gebruikers de vrijheid geeft om zich de stad toe te eigenen. Inzichten en instrumenten uit de sociologie, maar ook uit andere disciplines als urbanisme, beeldende kunst, literatuur en film komen in Urban Legend aan bod in 5 themazalen, die Ouest ongebreidelde fascinatie voor de rijke, complexe en poreuze stad onthullen. De rol van architectuur in een dense stedelijke context en de condities van het stadsleven worden grondig onderzocht. Urban Legend a été curaté par Iwan Strauven pour Bozar et Lara Molino pour A+. La production a été menée avec le plus grand soin et dévouement par Marine Urbain. Nos remerciements les plus chaleureux vont à Ouest, à Yann et Stéphane pour cette exposition exceptionnellement riche que vous pourrez explorer après cette conférence et à laquelle vous aurez envie de revenir afin de découvrir la richesse des réflexions, références, textes et images qui la composent. A+ et Bozar tiennent à remercier le gouvernement flamand, la Fédération Wallonie-Bruxelles, cellule d'architecture, la Vlaamse Gemeenschapscommissie et la commune d'Ixelles pour leur soutien précieux. Les sponsors de l'exposition sont Janssen, Epigon et AxoNobel Sikkens. A+ exprime également sa gratitude envers ses partenaires structurels, Febelsem, Pierre et Marbre de Wallonie et Dieteren Imon. Ook dank natuurlijk aan Bozar, aan Christophe, aan Zoe, aan Evelien, aan Tanguy. Wij worden heel goed omringd. En ik wens jullie allemaal een bijzonder fijne, legendarische avond.
Thank you. Thanks to all of you for being here tonight with us. It's really amazing and also a bit impressive, I have to say, to share with you some of the work we've been doing in the last 15 years. When A+ and Bozar invited us for this project, we were looking back at this whole pile of drawings, of ideas, of buildings. That we've been making, and that all have, one way or another, a very strong engagement with the city, with the urban context that they are all placed in. Very diverse context, but still. The city has always been a kind of a very important argument when we have to make decisions on our projects. Because we never see architecture as a kind of isolated product or a standalone thing, but as a connecting piece of this bigger whole. And this fascination with the city is not only for the city as the built environment in which we work, but also the city as a starting point for so many writers and filmmakers, graphic novels, artists, and so on. That altogether give a very diverse, very polyphonic image or view on what the city can be. never possible to fully understand what it is in all its diversity. These stories, they often start from the tensions and the challenges that are there inevitably there in the city. But the city can also be shown as a place of emancipation, of a place where people can reinvent themselves, and they can really construct their own life. We are not really interested in the city as a kind of ideal world or an urban utopia that you could plan and then execute. We are more kind of inspired by the city as a breeding ground for stories and fictions and narratives all around. And we are kind of landing this whole stream of references on this image that takes kind of an important spot in the expo. It's a photograph by Alfredo Jar, an artist from Chile who was working in Santiago in the 1970s, in the times of the dictatorship there. And in this project, he put up in several billboards around town this very simple question: ¿Es usted feliz? Are you happy? It's kind of addressing the people that are walking in the streets, the people that living in this that are living in this city very directly, and trying to trigger some reflection, maybe some imagination, or even some resistance. It's this perspective on the city, like more a bit of a Google Street View than this top-down Google Maps, that really interests us here. It's kind of a way to engage with the people that inhabit the city. Of course, we chose the title of this whole project, Urban Legends, because we feel very inspired by this power of the imagination, the power of the fiction that we feel very strongly in the city. Of course, we are more working on the scale of architecture, which is a very pragmatic discipline, but still we feel related to all these questions, these more broader concerns of sociologists, of writers about the city. And so this leads us to the bit of the questions that we are asking ourselves in the course of this project, like how can these fictions influence our understanding of architecture? And then if you turn it around, how can our architectural projects feed this urban imaginary, or how can we contribute to a city as a breeding ground for stories and fictions? So we will, in this lecture, we will go through a whole list of older and newer projects, and we will look to them through this lens to see and to maybe explain you some of the approaches that we apply in our projects. And I'm starting with the first project, which was a bit of the founding project for the office. It's a project for Les Ateliers Klaus, alternative music venue in Saint-Gilles in Brussels here. And as you already can see on the picture, it's located in a very, very dense living neighborhood. People from Brussels will certainly recognize this landscape of coterie, of small constructions. And from the pre-existing building, we could literally look into the kitchen of the neighbors. It's a very similar situation to this movie from Hitchcock, Rear Window, where the main character is stuck in his bed. He has a broken leg, and he starts spying on the neighbors. And from that situation of being too close to the neighbors, the whole suspense of the movie develops. Luckily there's no murders in Atelier Klaus, but we had still this kind of noisy program of the music that's played there that we had to integrate in this living neighborhood. And the contractor had to do some acrobatics to be able to create the main concert space on the ground floor, and then on top of that a box-in-the-box recording studio. And then to the back, to these neighbors, we kind of reduced the size of all the annexes on our plot, and we created an elevated garden on the first floor in an attempt to kind of make a mise en scène of this urban condition. The neighbors are still as close as before, but with some strategy of landscape, of redirecting slightly the views. We made it we tried to make it into an interesting urban situation. But then what is in fact the real gain of this project is that we managed to retain this program of small scale independent concerts in the living neighborhoods of Brussels. Second project is another project of unusual cohabitation. It's a project we are doing together with HBAT and OLM in the framework of a bigger renovation of the Maximilien Park in Brussels. We are going to move the urban farm that is now located close to the boulevard deeper down in the park, and it will be integrated in the socle of a modernist housing complex. As you can see, towards the park, the socle is quite closed off and not very inviting. But then on top of it, the photo to the right, there is a roof garden with even vegetables growing, and then we have all these apartments that's looking onto that scenery. So we, of course, find some nice architectural details like this rough concrete bandeau, but there's also a very strong vocabulary of security, of fences, of anti-vandalism that kind of sets the atmosphere of the neighborhood very, very strongly. In the project, we are going to open up this socle, integrate the urban farm inside, and there will be a new greenhouse on top as a kind of appeal to the park on a bit larger distance. Here on the plan, you can see that we will have the stables of the animals to the right, and then the offices and the more activity rooms to the left. In red, you can see the footprint of this new greenhouse on top. And then, of course, there's a big work in the sections. We are making a new big staircase to relate this roof garden with the park, and then all kinds of openings to bring light into this parking. The facade is an important part in how to make it, how to detail it. There's 3 new entrances, one for the animals to the right, one for the plants, or towards the plants on the roof, and then one for the humans. And then in the detailing of this facade is where the real challenge lies, and how we can, as architects, define the way how to build this facade that allows to change this perception of the building, and still comply with all the regulations and all the expectations about safety and vandalism that are still there. So in this project, we're going to work with wooden rolling shutters. So the facade can be closed off during nighttime, but still has a kind of a warmth or an invitation. If all goes well, we start to build this thing in spring. Very different kind of facade here, a little side jump to an image that has been lying around in the office for some time. In fact, it's a stage set of the Teatro Olimpico in Vicenza. It's one of the first built theaters in Europe in the Renaissance. And we found it quite striking that in 1585 they chose to have an urban setting as the fixed stage design for all the different dramas all the different plays they would want to stage in this building. As you can see on these drawings, like there's really a mix or a blending between the architecture of the theater and the architecture of this stage design and the city that is depicted behind. Kind of the stage for all the human relations that are being depicted in this place. I'm going to talk a little bit about of this theater project of ours. It's Théâtre Le Villard in Louvain-la-Neuve. It's in the expo, so I'm not going to talk too much on it. But why we want to have it still on this lecture is because in this project, the very story of the city, of the genesis of the city, has influenced greatly the design of the project. It's located in Louvain-la-Neuve. It's probably the youngest city in Belgium, but also one with the most peculiar history, I would say. It was built from scratch in the 70s, when the university in Leuven was split in a Flemish-speaking and a French-speaking part. And they built the whole city on top of an enormous metastructure of columns and slabs, creating all kinds of underground spaces, parkings, delivery roads, technical spaces. And on top of that, we have this pedestrian brick city, very, very cozy. So there's a very big contrast between the both. The theater was already in the city that when we started to work on it. It was standing really on the edge of this system. This is the theater building. It was built in the 70s by architect Jean Potvin, initially planned as a university restaurant, and then during the construction was transformed into a theater. So the building was kind of never technically very well equipped for the function of the theater. And one of the big demands of the competition was to give more height above the stage for more scenographical possibilities. And then instead of topping the building up, we decided to keep the roof structure and to bring the stage one floor lower in one of those kind of underused underground spaces. The opening of this big floor slab was kind of the main intervention of the project, and all the traces of it are now also used as the expression of the materiality in the theater hall. We made one window in the hall. It's also kind of a battle, but it gives on the street, also for people that pass by, to be able to look inside of this belly of the city that is never very much present or never very related. We invited photographer Vincent Beekman to make a series of short movies about the 5 projects that are in the expo. This is the first one about Jean Villard, and because we are in this amazing concert hall, we invited a musician to accompany. That's João Lobo on drums.
Thanks, Joao. Amazing. Back to the street level. The idea of renovation is important here rather than starting over. And we try to engage with the city around, and this goes also through the materiality. The whole city was built with bricks, as Jan mentioned, and it's in this kind of postmodern language to be seen a bit everywhere in the streets of the original Louvain-la-Neuve. And renovating the theater, you can see here on the left, the back facade, was for us this opportunity to enter in dialogue with this brick city and to see how to do that 50 years later. Of course, in general, working with bricks is a kind of long, there's a long kind of tradition in history in architecture through the years, all over the places, and there is a kind of constantly renewed pleasure to work with this material and try to find details and arrangements. So here you see on the left the existing wall, the yellowish, and then the conversation with the new one around. But besides materiality, we were also trying to engage with the city, not only through this very brick, but also trying to explore new relations with the context. Before we had this lift in the middle that was a bit blocking the possibility to open up on the square. So we transformed it into kind of a balcony on the city, a very welcoming spot, which is a foyer that you can access without any ticket. And to create a bit this situation to engage with the city, yeah, in this welcoming and a bit less impressive way than the main entrance of institution. From this balcony, you see on the image, the brick and this color palette also enters inside the foyer, and this influences then all the color scheme, like you can see here in the foyer and with the balcony on the left. Louvain-la-Neuve is beginning to show the first signs of aging, and even in this short time of history, we speak only about 50 years, but we feel we can start this process of layering of conversation and then potentially engage with that city through this kind of attitude. We leave Louvain-la-Neuve for a while, if you agree, go to Tokyo, fast flight, because this idea of layering is, of course, much more visible in big metropolis with long histories. No? Like in this one, this fantastic drawing by Akira Yamaguchi, it's to be seen also in the exhibition. And this drawing is really confronting ancient temples to contemporary infrastructures, small-scale housing to big buildings, and we see in this drawing this kind of we see the city as a living organism, always in evolution, never finished, and that's inspiring for us. At the same time, this is also the city. James Ensor, with this painting in Ostend 120 years ago, and it's almost the view we have from our office. So there is this kind of contradiction or paradox that everything is changing super fast, and at the same time there is a feeling of immanence in the city, which is a bit of the complementary feeling, and you have a bit to work between those tensions. I will explain very briefly this project Variété, because it's also in the exhibition. It's one that we work on for the moment with Flores y Prats, architecture office from Barcelona, and the client is Bruxelles Lake. It's located in a very dense and vertical part of Brussels, as you can see here on the picture of the roof, and this is the original fly tower there above the city. Variété was the name of the building. It was planned to be a musical in the 30s, a project by Victor Bourgeois and Maurice Gréden, and you see a bit on the plan on the right how the architects back then managed to organize a big venue, 2,000 persons, in this kind of small and specific site now, due to the geometry. The building was full of fantastic qualities. It was also transformed many times into a cinema and then another cinema, and then it was abandoned for 40 years. So the stage we were looking at in the last picture was a bit this 5-6 years ago. These are pictures by photographer Adrià Gola from Barcelona, and he helped us at the moment of the competition to take these careful pictures that helped us a lot during all the process of designing with architects and with the engineers. Here you see a bit the project in the city skyline with Rue de Malines on the left, the protected facade, and Rue Saint-Pierre on the right. It's opening. It's a project that opens on 2 streets. It's something that you maybe understand better on this model. And the facade on the left is a protected facade. It's considered as a monument, while the other one on the other side has not much interest for heritage administration. For us, there is not much difference. Of course, the result is different on both facades, but the methodology, the care, and the kind of conversation with what was there we work in the same way. What I want to explain here through this project, more than the whole project, is this idea of layering, this idea of time and projects, and that it's maybe a good example to get rid of this before-after way of thinking in architecture. That you had the before that was usually a shit, and then after you it's amazing. It's not working like that, because this building, like many others, has already faced a lot of transformations. And there will be, so there is not one before and there will be not one after. The building will probably continue evolving after. So this understanding of layers of time and to see what you can learn from these different layers, also in a critical way, without any nostalgia, was something we did with the facade, for example. So you see the date there on the bottom. And we redraw the different steps that the different transformation of this facade. I will not explain them, of course, but just to see that through the years it faced like 5 or 6 specific renovation transformations, also decay. And redrawing all these steps is also a good way for us to understand the building and then to come with a proposal. This was the drawing for the building permit. If we zoom on the very circle of this same facade, you will see that the result in the end is not referring to one very specific moment of the steps that the building had faced before, and it's also because you have to learn from past qualities, proportions, main ideas, but of course it has to fit also with the new program, and it's a question of balance. It's a question of keeping also stuff alive. This is the facade as it is before the works. Maybe it shows that probably you have to work with existing in a kind of respectful way, understanding what you are doing, but also very uninhibited and enthusiastic. Freezing the city in a kind of idealistic and fake past would completely freeze it and bring us nowhere. Nor, of course, starting from scratch every 30 years. But it's more a matter of balance and probably of trust. Yeah, now the works have started. This is another amazing picture by Corentin Bruges, fresh from last week. So yeah, not everything is about careful heritage restoration. So, there was daylight before coming from the roof, so now it's back again, but also with the rain, no? Like for you before the lecture. João Alves, it's a fantastic painting that we found in Pinacoteca São Paulo. I mean, the copy, no, not the original, but it's for us it depicts very well this idea of renovation, reworking the city, and accepting a bit that this condition of works is part of the city, and that the city is always unfinished, and that it's part of it. We will go to Forêt, another part of Brussels, another neighborhood for cinema, a movie club. It's a building from the same period. It's the 1930s also. Of course, it's more modest, and it was more ordinary in a way, in a more residential part of the city. And for once, this building was built and meant to be a movie theater, and we're going to keep that function. Sometimes it's also good to do that. It was the movie club, and now it becomes the movie club. Because we're trying to spread a bit the program and the dialogue with the city on not only the plot of the cinema that you see on the upper image above, but also on the neighbor. So this kind of movie club will work as a Swiss knife, able to work as a whole, but also a bit parallelly or separately. It has gone also through different ages, moments, transformations, and then it closed 10, 15 years ago. This is an image of last year. There were still sometimes some small events before we really started the works. But it has a kind of nice feeling. And yeah, people love this kind of small cinemas. It's one of the last cinemas of that scale in Brussels. This is the plan of the project. So with the dotted line, you see the footprint of the first cinema, and then how we can also expand on the plot on the neighbor and build this club, which would be a bit the alter ego. So we would rework the cinema, the movie hall on the left, and then build this club on the right with much more daylight for activities, workshops with kids, whatever, around cinema and neighborhood. If we start the tour through the original entrance and the old foyer, we find nice spaces, nice elements, nice details from the past that we are keeping in the project, that we are able to restore in a careful way, even in a heritage way, because the building was protected, mainly to prevent it to be transformed into whatever. So with the help of AAC, which is an architecture office that works on heritage, we do these drawings and studies for this foyer, trying to restore it a bit and bring it back to this original state. And here you see the foyer. The same happens for the projection cabins above. Now they're a bit in a bad state, but especially because we took out all these projectors. But the drawing and the dismantling, the careful dismantling was done just before the work, so that we can afterwards reuse these 35 millimeters projections. Probably the same idea was for the very room of restoring carefully and that's it. But here we had two problems. It became a bit impossible to act in that way for the room itself. Two important reasons for that. The first is that it went through different steps and transformations, which is fine in a way. We just explained it with Varieté. But here, administration said we should come back to the 50s as a reference moment. This is the historical reference moment for them. Okay. But then we arrived in 21, and in the room, nothing from the 50s was still in the room. So how to protect something that has disappeared already? Then they said it's your problem. They say, yeah, I don't know. So of course we can restore some elements. The M was there. Then we said, oh, the seats, they are nice. They say, I don't care, they're not protected because they're not original. Say, okay, let's keep them anyhow because they are nice, because they're part of the memories, and because it's great energy. No, it's there. No, so this kind of document was how you redo a room when there is nothing left a bit or little things left. You can still learn a lot from this drawing, from the qualities, and then reactivate in a new way, vertical light, proportions, and so on. But trying, of course, to do that in an actual way and avoid any pastiche. The other problem was this section. If you show the section of the original cinema to the neighbors, or worse, to an acoustician, they might say, there is no isolation here. So, and that's true. That's also why the cinema closed 10 years ago. So you have the problem or the condition, I don't see it as a problem, but of the idea of how to live together and how to organize such a program around it by neighbors in an experience of Dolby Surround and the heavy decibels. So you have to make a heavy box in the box, which is difficult to do in a restoration project. This is the section of the project, if you zoom out, with the club on the right, and warning, I show you the pictures of the state of the construction site last week. It's not very sensitive. Boom. Voilà. It's a bit violent. No? I would love to show more careful drawings, but pictures, but why we show this, it's not as a provocation, it's more to explain that sometimes in this idea of reworking the city, to maintain some programs alive, you have to go through these steps and transformations. And then probably in a few months or years, we are able to sit again in this nice same room as always. A short, quick stop in Ghent, where we did this transformation of an old sawmill into a housing a few years ago. Just briefly to explain the very liberating, inspiring thing we see in working with existing buildings and maybe even more with completely banal or strange buildings, because they are full of accidents or full of decisions or compositions that you don't control, and that's very liberating. And then you arrive to unexpected situations, spaces, relations, even details that of course you bring as an architect, but the starting point was this very building and all these maybe strange situations. So the work with the existing for us is also the possibility. It opens up a lot of possibility of getting rid of standards, and that's maybe the beauty of it. Back to Brussels, we go to Zinneke. There's a lot to say about that project. We learned a lot of this project, the co-creation process with Zinneke, with Rotor, and with the engineers of Matriciel and GZH. And it has been a fantastic journey. It's also an exhibition. Here I will focus on one very aspect, which is reuse, and how it comes in the relation to the existing, adding one more layer of intensity, maybe of complexity, and change completely the rules of how to make a project, from designing something first and then build it a few layers later, to sometimes to do it in a completely more interactive and collective way. Zinneke, these people, they organized this Zinneke Parade, you might know. They had this knowledge and this attitude to reuse and to collective work for years already in their function. And their way of working also contaminated positively the way of doing the project and finding ideas and solutions. But the focus on reuse through these two small examples, sorry for the pixels of this one, is maybe first the staircase. So I said we worked with Rotor. They found this staircase a few streets from there, 1 kilometer in a public building that was dismantled. And of course, we had needs for stairs in the project, but there were 2 different spots with 2 different stairs with 2 different drawings. But then suddenly you have this phone call. There is this staircase available, and then you have a bit to fast and furious redraw everything and make it fit and redraw and prepare the site to host this newcomer. So it's this kind of speed that reuse needs from you, because of course if it's reused, that's not something that you can order a long time before. This second example is a bit different because it was one of the only facades that we built new in the project. So here we knew we would go for reuse, and that's also why in the building permit we drew this best composition ever of facade, saying like we don't know yet. Probably there will be windows, but let's see. And then, so the construction size starts, and then at some point, Rotor comes to the meeting with the images on the right with 20 to 30 available windows at the time that had also to comply with the sizes, but also thermical expectations now, because it's a new facade. And then with Jan and with the people in the construction meeting, we started drawing possibilities on tracing paper above the building permit, and we arrived to this kind of nice or crazy or stupid or random drawing, and a few weeks later it was built. So this kind of time between the drawing and the making was so short through this reuse that it creates a bit his own aesthetics, and it's not about aesthetics only. It's really the kind of the result of the process, and that's something we learn from, because there is much less control than in other details that we could show today. And this attitude of working with reuse and open up a bit to what you find is something that we can learn from many disciplines. I was explaining how Zinneke was doing it, but that's also something that Curro Claret is doing in Barcelona. He's a designer and he works with a very strong social commitment. So he designed this system to fix the chairs, and then all the other parts of the chairs are reuse material found in the street or in trash, and he's working with people, homeless people. So it's a very nice process, and the result is as beautiful as the process, and that's a bit what I wanted to show with this kind of idea of collective and reuse, because it's you don't control the aesthetics, and that creates the aesthetics. Scarabeus is a few streets from Zinneke in Schaerbeek. It's the new cultural center for Schaerbeek, the municipality there. I say new, but it's again a collection of existing buildings. And it's basically 3 buildings that connect on 2 streets. This project is also in the expo. And these 3 buildings that had nothing to do with each other, and they were also already changed from use from the first times. So on the left, you had a nice cinema from the 60s that was changed later into an evangelic church. And then on the back, you had a former bus garage that was transformed into a theater. And then you had a small house. So it was not very easy to make one project of these 3 buildings, a bit of a collage. But yeah, that's a bit the brief now, how to bring all these things together and make one project. In the middle, you had this big volume, which was the cinema, a bit prominent, a bit massive. But it had the good position in the room to be a bit the foyer and the connection piece of the 2 streets and different levels. Yeah, so we decided to put the auditoriums in other parts, you see on the bottom and on the right, and then to try to make this building and this space work a bit like a traboul. If for the people who have been in Lyon already, this kind of half public, half collective connections through urban plots. For that, we had to lower we lowered the roof of the cinema, and we brought the daylight in a kind of situation of having neighbors all around. In this one, we have 55 direct neighbors, so everything is a question of negotiation and thinking about your project for yourself, but also how it would impact the neighbors around. So the pictures of the roof, and this shed in the middle that will appear in the video in a few seconds, and that's a bit the articulation piece and trying in this project to go from one space to another one, and always in this kind of surprise of seeing what you will get in the next room, because a bit of the situation of these existing buildings. So yeah, the project is almost done. That's a picture of a few weeks ago, and here you see last week our colleague Pauline explaining it to the local administration. Yes, time for breathing a bit and listening to music.
it's really nice to have some views of non-architects on these buildings. Very nice to see. In the same project, we go to the Chaussée de Acte, which is a bit of the main axis in the neighborhood. And there we still find this fantastic concrete canopy of the entrance of the cinema from 1958. And next to that entrance of the old entrance of the cinema, there was a small neighborhood cafe, not very interesting as a space as such. But we decided, or we proposed better, to kind of put the second performance hall of the center under this old canopy behind a big window, and then organize the entrance to the site, the main entrance through the neighborhood bar. At the one hand, we wanted to create a kind of very low-key, very informal entrance, a bit of a anti-institution, if you want, and maybe an attempt to make it as accessible as possible in the neighborhood. And then on the other hand, the idea was, of course, also to show the artistic work to the street. Of course, this can be closed off when needed, but we have the possibility to really express to the city what's happening inside. So we kind of like or appreciate to play with the codes of entrance and visibility of these windows. It's very nice if a facade is not you cannot understand everything at the first glance. We kind of think that things become more easy or more open for interpretation later. Two references here that play a bit in the same theme. To the left is the facade of a church in Naples, and it has been lying around a bit for some time in our office. You can clearly see it's a church, but still it doesn't apply not one of the classical rules of how to make a church facade. So that's the kind of very strange situation. And like only recent, when we were making the exhibition, we discovered that this facade, in fact, was the facade of a palazzo, and then already turned into a church. So adaptive reuse avant la lettre. And then to the right, you can see the signage of an eye clinic in Taipei. So this is in fact very clear. So there's no ambiguity in the message there. But then, of course, altogether it becomes very poetic. I'm going to show you a project for a house renovation that we did a couple of years ago in XL in Brussels. It's kind of very typical and very elegant facade of a Brussels townhouse. But then when you open the door, we change the staircase so it doesn't go up to the bel étage, but it goes down to the lower level as a kind of surprise, a lower level that connects then to the garden. And by shifting this around, there were a lot of surprising relations created, new routes through the house that are very unusual to this typical typology of the Brussels maison de maître. And in the house, we kind of sculpted a lot of spaces from the inside the existing volume. We weren't allowed to make any extensions with double height spaces and some small corners tucked away above the living space. So behind this very beautiful and classical facade that we did not modify, we kind of find a surprising speciality. Another housing project that we recently finished in the Rue Puccini, hence the title, was for a client that are working a lot abroad. So they wanted to make a house for their parents, but also a home base when they were in Brussels and maybe a part to rent out. So we worked on an unbuilt plot for once. Not very common for us, but this was a new construction. We proposed kind of a very simple stepped volume with the space for with the flat for the parents here, and then a guest room in the lower level, and again a small apartment on the top to rent out. the plan is quite free, it's just open floors. Then we worked a lot to shape the staircase, the central staircase, in a way that we could reconnect the floors in a different way later. This could kind of easily become a one-family home or be separated even in smaller units. The facade is voluntarily a bit of a neutral grid that doesn't choose if it's now a one-family home or an apartment building. And we worked with gradients in the concrete color to give it the kind of celestial quality, if you want. And then here I show you some studies on the materiality of this central core. We wanted to give it kind of earthy materials together with the ceilings and the rest, in the coherence with what we did on the facade, also with the fixed furniture and the staircase. And then, of course, this layer of domesticity comes in when people start to really live in it, and it becomes all the more warm and enjoyable. Another project that we are about to finish, it's like this, is the project for parts Rosas and Ictus in Forêt, also very close to our office. It's a quite big site in Brussels that is shared by 3 organizations: a dance company, Rosas, then a school of contemporary dance parts, and a music ensemble, Ictus. It's a project that we do together with Versa, and in the competition, the brief was to reorganize all these functions in this cohabitation on the site. The aim was also to make the site more public for representations of dance spectacles on the site. So we added 2 volumes. On the right here is a new volume for the storage space and dressing rooms for Rosas, and then on the left is a small tower with 3 dancing studios for parts. As you can see, they're connecting to this central, very big dance studio that was already existing on site. And the studio tower is, in fact, a very simple stacking of these spaces where we mostly worked on the proportions and on the way how it's expressed to the outside. We play a bit with the double height of the spaces and how the rhythm of the facade is shifted with the rhythm of the floors inside. Here we have a picture of the spaces when they were built in the rough construction. We chose to have one high window to the east, looking to the sky, and then another one, lower one, to the west, more connecting to the city. And as the sun turns around, the light quality changes during the day, which is very nicely captured by these pictures by Corentin Bruges also. Here the evening light. And the view in the studios over the valley of Brussels. So this facade systems in different stripes continues a bit above the volume, and we created open air studio, rooftop dance studio, by pulling the facades up. And also here, Vincent Beekman made a short video that you might have seen when you came in the hall. It was looping with a group of students from the last generation of parts dancing in the skyline. In the main existing building here, it's the blanchisserie. It was the old washing facility for the King of Belgium. It's a very nice shed structure. We are reorganizing some spaces in this space here. It's not a very recent picture, but in these spaces they're going to be the rehearsal studios for Ictus, the music ensemble. In the north of this big building, and then in the south, one of the sheds will become the kind of meeting point for the whole site for all the users. There will be the kitchen, the lunch space, and some connection to the garden that is now being built. The interior of this space will be realized by Plus Friends and Vormen, and the goal is that the site is really fully functional in January. Another aspect was the creation of much more green space than was before. And then another project that we were doing together with Versa is this quite new project, one of the latest projects we started on. It's called Versailles to the neighborhood in the north of the Brussels region. And it's a project where the client really puts forward this wish to cohabitation and the sharing of space and the relation between different actors. This is a picture of the model we made during the competition. The project is called the Grand Équipement, so the grand equipments. It's a bit of the flagship project of Contrat de Quartier, which is a local neighborhood development plan here in Brussels, very successful. And the neighborhood we're working in, a couple of pictures is the social housing neighborhood from the 70s in the north with some big towers and then some very long volumes, having the typical problems of this kind of neighborhoods, lacking of services, lacking of real meaningful public space. So when we started working on the project, we received this kind of super detailed program with a lot of different functions. There was sports, there was the neighborhood guards needed an office, there were rooms for the associations of the neighborhoods, there was a kids center for after-school activities. There was a parentality support space, so it was like a heap of program that they put together, like it was like the wish list of the whole neighborhood. It was kind of a challenge to bring this together in one volume that didn't become too big or too imposing for the space that was left between these blocks. So we pushed the sports function, the biggest half underground, and then turned the volume a little bit according to the axis of the site in order to make a decent relationship and some interesting leftover space between these volumes. The building in itself is a very simple plan with an open plan with this central circulation core. Because probably this program that is there today will evolve in the future and there will be new needs in a couple of years. And then in the section to the right, you can see that we applied a split level system. So all these different associations would find their own spots in the building, but still be connected through views and through this common circulation. So and the more we are working on the project, the more we are convinced that this choice of bringing very different functions together in one volume is really the good choice for this neighborhood. It's probably by bringing people together, by forcing them and sharing spaces and an entrance and an address, that also there's possibility to create new links between the different groups in the neighborhood. And it's very nice to see that also the city of Brussels, which is the client here, has a renewed interest in this sharing of spaces. They even want to reintroduce the old school concept of concierge, imagine. So it's an interesting experiment. Some images of the underground sports spaces that open up to a sunken patio, and to the right you can see some spaces for the kids' room. We are now working on the final plans, facade designs, and hopefully by the end of the year, beginning of 26, we can hand in the building permit. Le Rideau is also a project in the expo, so I'm really not going to talk a lot about it, but I just want to show it because it's a project we finished 5 or 6 years ago. A site that was almost completely built, so we had very little space to create new surfaces. It was more a work of connecting the existing spaces in a better way. And there, together with the clients, there was decided that we would not make the kitchen because we didn't have the space. Professional kitchen costs a lot of money, and since then they organize all the catering with the restaurants in the neighborhood. And we are in Matonge, so it's very easy to find food all around. And we are now, after 5 or 6 years that the building is in use, we're very happy to see how the theater, or the people that are running the theater, are engaging with the neighborhoods. And every year they organize the start of the season in a kind of open neighborhood party on the street. So it's the interdependencies between the theater and the neighborhood start really to grow. Vincent Beekman and João Lobo.
Being on stage and still being able to enjoy a concert, that's really nice. Thanks, João. Thanks, João. So we continue for last chapter. We're still in Rideau here with this enigmatic inscription in the panorama of the street. This was the as found situation when we came there. So the entrance of the theater through this door, but then the next door is already the door to housing above, and then the house on the left is another house, but then the small house there is part of the theater. So it's kind of very complex to understand where it starts, where it's finished, and then comes the question now how to make the theater visible. And we kind of choose to not force it. It's also a kind of residential street. And instead of, what happens if instead of trying to force a kind of lecture of this complexity, we play with it and we maybe blur it. Where does it start? Where does it stop? Maybe we don't know. Maybe the theater is everywhere. Maybe it's elsewhere. Maybe it's not important. And with little budget we had, and also a few ingredients like glazing the entrance door to make it more visible, but also this billboard that we put above the small house that was the access for decors and technicians. We put this billboard with these sentences that open a kind of dialogue with the street and with the neighbors. And yeah, Jan explained a bit how the people of the theater are very good and careful in building up this relation with the neighborhood. But we also think that it helps to work on a presence and a way of engaging with what's happening around without being too institutional or too with avoiding to force a bit the presence. The last big idea that we want to share in the lecture is this idea of porosity. So this map is so known by architects that maybe it's boring for you, but for the non-architects in the room, and we also want the show, also the exhibition, to be really open to other disciplines. This is an important map for us. It was drawn. You see that it's already quite whole now, and it shows a city, of course, but instead of showing black and white what's built and unbuilt, it reveals what is public in white from what's private in black. So, of course, the street is public, the piazza is public, but then some churches, libraries, collective programs are white now because they are accessible to public, and you can walk the street and suddenly push a door and continue to be in a place where you are welcome. So we use it also as a kind of tool to resist a bit the private city, and it's something that's has a lot of force. Many architects work on this Nolly idea and transform it. So here, for example, you see that in a section also it could work, and that if the city doesn't stop at facade, it could also climb the stairs, maybe sometimes. Another important aspect of porosity is also more literally the green porosity. We need in our cities more space for green because that's one of the big challenges for the coming decades. And so how to bring this landscape in the city and make cities that have this space to breathe. No? Maybe one project that we can in a way illustrate this idea of green porosity is called Chassard. It's also in Forêt. We try to have projects that we can go walking from the office. It was they were doing strong alcohol there, and now they give it to kids. There's no message there, but it was you see the gate, the existing situation, and then a bit fragile buildings in the back. But the buildings to the front, here a view from the other side, they are quite qualitative. They were built in a very careful way. So the project reuses a lot of these buildings, and in a way we don't add anything. We destroy the small buildings in the back. And the bigger intervention is a garden, a kind of a bit crazy urban jungle that we make with Jan Minne, landscape architect, and then this connection piece in the middle to connect the two buildings and allow the kids to play there safe, because this pocket garden becomes a public garden for the whole neighborhood during the day. Not entering into the project, but of course there's architecture there. There is organizing different rooms for the kids. They are 0 to 6 years, so it's really fantastic to work with these little humans and the scale of it. The project is very slow, so you think you can bring new kids, but it's going to be for the kids, our kids. But yeah, hopefully it's going to be built in a few years. And the attention is really on this garden in the middle, and yeah, in the it's not changing anymore. Okay, and in the in the models, in the tools of the way we express it. Also, it gives the importance to this garden, while in many projects, architecture is very present, and then landscape has to do with the leftover of budget or space. So it was very inspiring to us to completely shift a bit this balance. And in these amazing drawings by Jan Minne, the architecture almost disappears, and I don't know why. I find it very nice. Yeah, so hopefully we have this kind of landscape in a few years, because we plan to bring really big adult trees already. Last project for today. I have to turn because the screen is not helping me. It's called Quadrilatère. It's a feasibility study we did with City Tools. And it's for a spot called like that under the train tracks close to Gare du Midi substation. It's going to be difficult to make green porosity there. Still, you have nice trees, but the space has a lot of potential, but it's completely abandoned. It's the area there on the right under the train track, and you have the substation in the back. Yeah, we had this train connection through the city, the North-South junction, which was probably a disaster for Brussels, but it cuts a lot of neighborhoods, and it affected very negatively a lot of neighborhoods of Brussels. But yeah, it's there now. It's there for 80 years already. So we have to do something with it, because for the moment it's abandoned. It's completely closed, and it generates not much interesting uses. So these are all these spaces under the train. Under a train, of course, it's noisy. It's low ceiling. There is not much daylight in the middle, so it's not easy for housing or for offices or whatever. But there are a lot of people in Brussels that can make advantage of these spaces for many uses, going from public toilets to skateboarding to clubbing to the food market, which is there on the Sunday. They are also wanting to have shops. So there are. We were collecting information and with City Tools. Many people are interested in such spaces, and if you look at this picture, it's at the same time a very nice colonnade. No, we are not in Ostende, but still there is a very beautiful quality in the space, and at the same time it's super sad because it smells shit and it's abandoned. So. As an architect, it's very easy to make nice drawings, thanks Basto, and you put a few windows, you put people there, and everyone is happy. Yeah, and we much believe that this part of Brussels could be an amazing point of arriving in Brussels, and with super mixed programs, and a bit like Jan explained for Versailles, no, in a completely other scale. But imagine we can mix all these programs and all these publics and all these needs a bit in this kind of big system. Because when we studied the plan, it's a fantastic plan also. It works very well. We entered there, we found these nice elements, but we went also with the firemen, with the engineers, acousticians, all these people that, of course, for good reasons, come up with explaining that it's difficult to do things. But as difficult as it looked, we came up with kind of positive feedback from them. Very strange, like, yeah, this is possible. Yeah, we can open the wall. Yeah, ventilation should work. Yeah, wow. Okay, so okay, then you go to the public authority, the municipality, and then that's a bit the moment of hangover, because there's no government anymore. And then this study is somewhere on a shelf. There was a temporary activation by Fuse. That's a bit what we're going to do from Foyer Horta in a few minutes. And you see the space now, you clean it a bit, you put light, and you don't need an architect. Now it's amazing, it's fantastic. It has a lot of potential. So yeah, leaving all these spaces empty and abandoned, it's really sad. Still, we worked a bit again on the drawings. That's like we like to do when we did these sections. We're trying to get better relation with the street. And also double height in some parts, which is of course nice for some formats and activities. So in the lower parts, we could imagine a lot of activities, and it's each time working with and discussing with people from that very field, no? People from the sport field. In the middle, we imagine this new Berghain for Brussels. No need to go to Berlin anymore, and. But yeah, oh sorry. No, it's this one first. But yeah, as I said, no, it's still closed. It's still closed, and it's still empty, and it's not even a project because this feasibility study is there a bit lost. And of course, it's just an example, no, because it happens to many architects or offices, or sometimes projects don't go on. That's part of life. But we are a moment of a bit of warning, no? Today was a strike, or so. There's what this drawing shows of Mega Migendi from Kinshasa is the need of good policies to make good cities, and without good public projects, you cannot make this kind of rich and diverse city that we aim for. And yeah, the project we were showing today and the ones in the exhibition, most of them are public projects organized with good policies and public money, and so we are much aware of it. And yeah, it's a bit fragile, so we should continue together, all of us, a bit fight for this and for this public projects. This is the last slide for today. We know making cities is difficult. I mean, the city is never finished. We said it's very complex to live together, and this cohabitation is probably even more complex today than in other times. And people say there's no money anymore, and they focus on other things. But it's very important that we continue working on this capacity and this beautiful project of yeah, it's difficult, but it's so nice, it's so interesting, it's so emancipatory for all of us. This drawing is also the one of the book that we proudly can show. That was made for this exhibition. It's also the drawing that's the first drawing in the very exhibition, and it's a collective work that we did with all architects of Ouest. Yeah, to do this kind of drawing or project exhibition or city, of course, it's all about collective projects. And here on stage we are 2 persons, but it's a much more bigger team. So I think it's the moment also to thank the Ouest team for the commitment, but thank also TA+, Bozar, the engineers that work with us for many years, the colleague architects, which we do a lot of projects, family and friends. So we are very grateful, Jan and me, to all of you, and we hope you enjoyed the show.
Good evening, everybody. I hope you are enjoying a great evening. It's not finished yet. I'm Ivan Strauve. I'm co-curator of the show together with Lara Molino, and we're very proud of it. To be honest, I believe everything has already been said this evening. All that's left for me now to do is to thank Jan and Stefan for this wonderful and very lively presentation, talk, and for the very beautiful exhibition they've created for us here in Bozar to enjoy over the coming months. I would also like to express our gratitude to Maria and Oriane and the whole team of Ouest, as you just did, for the wonderful collaboration over the past year. It's truly been quite a journey, and we are actually very proud to be part of it, and we really enjoyed it. Before inviting you all to go and visit the show, I have 2 important announcements to make. The first of it is that the exhibition comes with a book that has more or less the same structure as the exhibition. It's a very generous documentation of 5 projects by Ouest, intertwined with theoretical thematic text by invited authors that delve into the thematics of the exhibition, into urban legend. The book is for sale this evening for $29.80 in the bookshop. It has been produced in collaboration with Verlag der Buchhandlung Walter König, so who has the shop as well. But unfortunately, we only have 100 copies of it available tonight. So if it's sold out tonight, please come back and have your own copy. Secondly, we are in this venue with about 1,200 people in this beautiful concert hall, which is quite a number. Actually, the exhibition takes place in rather small spaces where the architecture exhibitions takes place that can only accommodate about 50 or 70 people at the time. So to avoid long queues tonight, each of you will be receiving an email from tomorrow on, I guess, with a personal code that will allow you to return and to visit the exhibition for free. And that until November 15. So if 1 more month to visit the exhibition as part of this opening event tonight. This free ticket will also give you access to Bozar Arcade's Urban Playground, so the show with the video games, which is also open tonight, and which can be accessed easily from the Horta Hall. Thank you all very much to be here present with us tonight. Present to celebrate West architecture and also celebrate architecture. Thank you.